Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest installment of Happy Hour with the Wedding Pros. We want to welcome all of our pros here, and today we're going to talk about how to plan during the shutdowns and all the chaos with COVID-19. Just things you can do, what you can be doing now, things to get in order, and how best to use this time to your advantage. So I want everybody to introduce themselves, and then Karen, I understand you need to leave, so we're going to let you go first when we're talking, but why don't you go and introduce yourself? We'll let everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll have you start giving us some pointers.
You want me to go first?
Yep, go.
Hi, I'm Karen Chavez with Uptown Bride.
Great. And Brian?
Brian Carrizales at ABC Cake Shop and Bakery.
Wonderful. Does it smell good there?
Yeah, it actually does.
I knew it. Okay. Megan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Brogan with Shutterport Photography.
And now, Megan, where's Sydney?
She's not here today. I think she found a sunny spot downstairs. So normally my cat Sydney is in the background here, but she's taking the day off apparently. She might pop in later, but she's keeping it mellow today.
Okay, sounds good. And Guillermo, introduce yourself.
I'm Guillermo with Natural Touch Photography.
Okay, great. And you're not outside working in the yard. What's with that?
I just finished painting my house last night. I took the last stroke.
Good.
Yeah.
Breathe and relax. Good. Okay, well, welcome everybody. And we're talking about what you can do right now in planning for this, for your wedding. So Karen, I know you've got to go, so why don't you start? What are your hints for brides right now?
Well, definitely a bride can come and get her dress. It's not too early to do that. It never is. Some dresses can take up to 6 months to come in. Even if the wedding is planned for next year, she can also preserve her dress so that it's nice and fresh for the day of the wedding. I think looking at what her options might be or what she thinks she might be liking. We at Uptown Bride are doing virtual appointments, and we're just asking brides to email some pictures of gowns that they are thinking that they might like, and then we actually will pull a small collection from what we've got in store. We'll put those on mannequins. Also, some are going to just be on hangers where the trains are down, and show them what we have, give them some ideas of what that will actually look like on the body, and our brides are actually loving it. So that's a great starting point. From that point, we can jot down the specific styles that they're interested in trying on when they do come into the store, and we can happily make an appointment for them. We are, of course, right now just appointment only and limiting our guest size.
Okay, that sounds great. So have you been seeing a lot of people happy to be able to come in now and start trying on things?
Absolutely, absolutely. People are starting to come through the doors, are giving us a call. It's picking up a little bit, but there are a lot of brides that are super excited about being able to get the process started. It's a little bit of a different concept because, of course, they have to have a mask on, but we have a way to kind of help them with a prettier mask so that they're not wearing the typical disposables while they're trying on wedding gowns.
Great. And they've been enjoying that?
Yeah, it's been working out really well.
Great. Well, thanks. I know you got to run. So
yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Let's go on to Brian then.
Okay. So for us, oh wait.
You're on.
For us, we've been wanting to kind of tell couples to go ahead and use the typical wedding timeline, which is averagely about 10 months to about a year, to go ahead and use this time to their advantage. We fall within a 4 to 3 month prior window, so go ahead and meet with us virtually. Go ahead and send us phone inquiries, emails. We do Skype, FaceTime, whatever you need. And we do a lot of our designs digitally anyway, so we can go ahead and communicate with you for 20-30 minutes, kind of get a rough idea of what you're wanting, and then we can start sending you sketches. Nothing is supposed to make a contract or to push you to go ahead and find your final vendor, but it's just to go ahead and give you all the information as possible. So go ahead and kind of compare apples to apples, and find out what variation do you want to go ahead and serve your guests. So use all this time to go ahead and just gather research and gather the information, but don't feel pressure into finding a specific date yet. If it's this fall, if it's next fall, just get the information. We can always adapt when we get closer. But yeah, we do have a big screen. We do have a lot of displays. So we're just trying to help people and we even have a big wedding cake over there that we can actually take off the flowers and show you different colors if needed. So we're trying to be as virtual accommodating as possible.
But what if I want to come in and try cake?
Oh, unfortunately,
can we
we can't serve you. So what we do is we'll go ahead and go over the cake flavors, and we can go ahead and you can take it with you. We can show you how to cut it and get all the different samples. But at this time, what I always recommend is doing the first consultation portion first, which is prices, the design, the details, and wait for the cake tasting until you're able to sit down with me, because we're just so custom with our cake options. I'm able to give you other filling options and give you other icing options compared to the small selection and to-go containers that you'll have to be taking with you.
Okay. So what should people know before they contact you, or how should they be narrowing it down further? You're saying use this time to research. What should they be looking for? And
yeah, one of the main things is figuring out your budget. Where's that little comfort window you want to stay within, and anticipate your head count. Again, it doesn't have to be exact numbers. Let's say a 3-tier, there's over 27 different combination of 3 tiers. So let's say you want 150 people, you have many sizes to go up and down that won't affect your tier or your overall design. It'll still stay 3-tier, but it'll just be a different, bigger or smaller version of that. And that's just easy. We can go ahead and edit over the phone and via computer, but at least you're able to see your design without changing too much of it.
okay.
So same concept with like a dessert bar or anything. We can edit the amount of servings, but we can get your table layout going, the different platter heights, kind of an idea how it looks.
So you got to know a lot of things, or do I have to know a lot of things before I talk to you?
No, not really. Some of the basic questions will be around what season you want to go ahead and have your wedding in, the budget, head count, and then theme or colors. Those are the 4 basic questions I ask. I will be giving you information and I'll be asking further questions, but that's like on a person-to-person basis. Those are the 4 basic questions I kind of need to start off getting to know you a little bit better.
Okay. Okay. And I know we talked about this before, but just so people have a reference, for 100 people that you're serving, 3-tier, what's an average price? I don't want people to be sticker shocked because it isn't Duncan Hines off the Smith's counter.
Yeah, so with 100 and you said 150 people?
Or 100, I don't know. I don't care. You say, whatever. I'm just trying to give people a framework and an idea here.
Yeah, so let's go with 100 people. That's a little bit easier. Okay. So 100 people, you're going to be roughly between about $425 to $475. That'll be a cake that has decorations and details included because we have multiple packages. And from there, what we do is we can always add on or subtract, but that's a good average. We've been seeing people kind of wanting to add a little bit more personalized touch to weddings, and that would be either in decorations or in serving elements. So that's going to be going closer to about a $550 range, and I'll go ahead and offer a little bit more personalized decor, something where you can show me like a Pinterest idea, and I can kind of edit, tailor that, and that'll be around that range. The initial quote would be closer to our packages.
Okay, I just wanted to give them some ammo before they call.
Yeah, of course.
So
thank you.
Sure. Okay, Guillermo, how about you go next? What should people be doing now in order to use your service, or what are you telling brides to plan now?
Well, it really has nothing to do with what I do. It has to do with their wedding and the amount of people that are going to be there, because I am usually at least 6 feet away from them, usually sometimes further, sometimes a lot further. So really, we really don't come in contact with them. So it's really up to decide, how many people are going to be in the reception and how close they're going to be, how they're changing those things. But what I am doing, I guess, from my side, is being very flexible with them, to help them as much as I can, and reassuring them that their photography really is not like, an issue for the virus thing. Everything else that they're doing is what they should be thinking about, and I am here to help in any way that I can. I have been doing some engagement sessions where, we are always apart and we still talk, and all that is kind of the same as always. But the whole another thing too is for the brides that are postponing their weddings into next year or even into this year. I suggest that they do that as soon as possible, because things are starting to bunch up. People that were going to get married in 2021 anyway are now competing with 2020 weddings that have become 2021 weddings. And October weddings are, sold out basically because of Balloon Fiesta, because of everything else, and everybody's moving there. Or September, which was already a super busy month to begin with, now has this extra traffic. So even though it is hard to make decisions and you shouldn't rush anybody to make a decision, they should be kind of deciding right now whether they're going to keep it this year or move it to next year. And if they move it to next year, to book a date as soon as possible and kind of be ready for, in my case, I'm very flexible. I move a wedding to next year. I don't charge them anything extra. I, no extra deposits or any of that stuff. They just, sure, when is your wedding? And I put it on that date. So it is, yeah, for me, it's more flexible because of what I do.
But now, because of everything getting bunched up though, because you can only shoot one wedding on one day, correct?
Well, I can shoot 3 because I have 3 photographers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's gives me a little more flexibility to do that.
But Brian, for example, how many weddings can you do on one day?
For like typical weekend, let's say
Not a big bakery.
Yeah, we're really big. And let's say busy May that overlaps with like baptisms, weddings and things. I can do in my department about 48 weddings a weekend.
4 to 8?
No, 48.
48. Okay,
yeah,
I want to make sure.
Yeah, almost 50. Almost 50 weddings a weekend. And we've done, the highest I've done is, I want to say it was like 52, and that was divided between a Friday and Saturday.
Okay, so that you don't really have to worry about getting in and getting it done with you. The deal with you is getting the design down and getting all that figured out. It's not, can I have them or not? Whereas Guillermo and Megan, they've got to get that date locked in for them, correct?
Yeah, with me, everything needs to be finalized 2 weeks in advance, because
Right.
I create a timeline. And after that 2 week, I do all my paperwork to go ahead and fit in a schedule that we're on point every single way. So yeah, with us, we do need you to go ahead and be a little bit more vigilant and do things a little bit more earlier, so we can go ahead and lock everyone in.
Yeah. So Guillermo, back to what you're saying though, they need to go ahead and pick a date so they can lock you in earlier than, for example, like Brian. But are you
right? And I like, I don't mean to rush anybody, because I never do to begin with. I never say, oh my God, September 5th, you better book right now. I never do that. But now, because of what's happening, let's say May of next year, it's already booked, because not because I'm getting brides a year early, but because I'm getting brides that were going to get married this May, have book those days. So now that puts me only with 2 photographers left, and that's usually the volume that I have anyway. So, I would just say, kind of talk to your fiance or your mom or your maid of whoever's helping you to help you decide what to do. My daughter, for example, is getting married in the middle of August, and yesterday we were on the phone with Leanne at Casas de Sueños figuring out what to do, and she gave us some advice about what her brides are doing and what some other brides are doing and what her hotel status is doing and what her, so then we called the caterer and we called the DJ and we called all these people and came up with a decision, and the decision for her was to keep it at August 15th based on the data they collected from everyone else. But there are people that don't feel comfortable with it, I still have a wedding coming up in 2 weeks on June 13th with 300 people at the Woolware house. And the bride is like, "Oh, we're going to do it." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. That's going to be a tight one there." So there comes the issue of, was a DJ, or do I want to show up to a 300 people wedding just because they decided to go through with it? So talk to the people that do your circle and talk to your vendors. And we know, that's another thing, the people that are associated with you, Stacy, we're all experts on what we do. And not only experts in photography, but I am an expert of how to cut a cake and how to, how to do all kinds of things. So ask the people that you have, it's not going to cost you anything extra, but you have that advice from vendors that know what the deal is in normal times and kind of can predict. And we all of us live on we always are anticipating, when we're working, we're always thinking on our feet, what comes next, and something changed, and what do I have to do right now? There's no time. She's walking up the aisle. We got to fix whatever is going on right now. So we are good resources to advise in times of stress.
That sounds good. So Megan, are you having that same bunching up of weddings now with people postponing and now coming in?
Yep, but even more extreme because it's just the 2 of us and we always work together. So we don't have other photographers working with us. So we are just a 1 day of the year that we're available per wedding. So like Guillermo was saying, May is fully booked for next year. We half of it is new bookings and half of it is 2020 weddings that pushed. We are starting to definitely see, some of our bigger weekends. We've got inquiries coming in for 2021 Labor Day weekend, but we have a couple that wants to move their wedding from this Labor Day weekend to that Labor Day weekend. So we are trying to best balance it out so that everybody, and we can work with everyone for their services, for their actual wedding. We were really trying really hard to be as flexible as possible, so we're not disappointing anyone with the dates. And but it's a tricky. It's like chess, trying to move everybody around and get all those days covered and keep everybody as happy as we can.
Yeah, but are any couples taking advantage of doing something like on Thursday or Wednesday? Because given the situation, because people are going to forgive all sorts of things that's not on a Saturday. Are the couples being more flexible and trying to get that too?
I think some of them are thinking of that. I think the toughest thing is that a lot of them, if they are moving from 2020 to 2021, they're really counting on things just being back to normal. So they want to be able to, they don't want to necessarily have a 30-person wedding. They want to have their 300-person wedding. So when they're having, a huge wedding like that, they really want it on a Saturday. So some of the smaller weddings seem to be a little more flexible on days of the week, and especially as people are really trying to consider, possibly saving money, looking at alternative days of the week at certain venues. They do offer discounts for different days of the week. So we're trying to encourage people to kind of steer them that direction. And then a lot of our couples are kind of doing something totally different where they're continuing with their actual ceremony and doing an elopement on their original date. But actually scheduling the reception for a year later. So that's another way that we're trying to navigate with couples and try to figure out the best way to proceed forward so that they can have a ceremony and a reception or all together at once.
Yeah, and just to let you know, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Ohio, and Ohio, as of June 1st, is going to be allowing 300 gatherings up to 300 people as of June 1st. Little scary, but you know, I think those kinds of things are coming and unrolling. We don't know how it's going to go, but who knows? And that's the whole thing, is we don't know. So right now, Megan, though, you're doing the elopement photos. That's not a problem doing those.
No, not at all. You know, like Guillermo said, we're trying to be as flexible and as accommodating for our couples as possible. And we miss our couples. We want to be with them for, you know, all of their adventures. And if they're going to have an elopement and not a reception until 2021, we're going to be at both. I mean, we're not going to charge them additionally for it. We're not going to, you know, what we're trying to do if, you know, is possibly schedule their, you know, shifting their payment schedule so that we do maybe half now, half later, or just however it works best for the couples. I mean, we want to make sure that, you know, we are, and it sounds kind of cliche now that we're all in this together, but we are, and we want to make sure that we are telling the whole story. I mean, I don't want to go to a reception in 2021, but have missed the wedding. So we want to be part of all of these stories. And I think that's something that a lot of couples can consider doing, whether they're rescheduling or whether they're just planning right out of the gate right now. Maybe they just got engaged, is to use this time to communicate with vendors, whether you've hired them already or whether you're actually interviewing them. I mean, we're all very, very anxious to get back and working with our couples. So, but a lot of us have a lot more free time. So that's a perfect opportunity as someone who's planning your wedding to take that time to be able to interview and find the matching personalities and styles for the vendors that you want to work with. This is a great opportunity. I love doing Zoom calls and chatting over direct messenger on Instagram. I mean, it's a great time for us to kind of be sharing ideas with couples and actually help brainstorm with them. You know, I mean, it's actually almost a time where we can be more involved with the planning than we ever have before. And I feel like that's, you know, using us as a resource might be a way that couples can feel less alone in the process of planning their wedding.
So that could be a real upside to all this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only tricky part is that we don't have all the answers because we don't necessarily know what all of the legislation and rules and, you know, openings and are going to be down the road. And we don't know if there'll be, you know, another form of a lockdown or, you know, the future is pretty unpredictable. However, there are some tried and true things that it's, you know, that we can assist with. I think the biggest thing when you're talking with vendors is to talk to them about what their policies are for rescheduling. Whether you're planning now or planning 2021 or 2022, ask them, you know, what does that process look like? What other fees associated if you have to move? Are you guys with us no matter what? Which is what we're trying to do. Which most of the vendors we've talked to are like that too, because we all want to be a part of something positive in this, you know, happy industry that we're in. But make sure that you talk to them about what that would look like. So yes, you're going through, you know, say you want to get married in September 2021. Okay, so these are the steps that we would recommend and the vendors we might recommend. And here are our policies on how, if you had to reschedule, if something happened in the future, what would that look like so that we can actually all move together through the changes, and that you're not locked into somebody who's like, well, if it doesn't happen, then you still owe us everything. But I haven't met a vendor yet in all of this that hasn't been willing to work with couples and change dates, whether it's venues or photographers or, you know, cake designers or wedding planners. But we're your best resources, all these different vendors. And honestly, whether you hire us or not, I mean, we've got great advice. We have great vendors that we love to work with that we're happy to recommend. And we love to talk weddings. So if you want to call and talk to us, you know, we're good listeners and can help give the best advice that we can. And we'll just navigate through these waters together.
Yeah. So, and I really liked what Guillermo was saying about taking engagement photos. That would be a really good thing to get done now while you've got time, while you have time and they have time, right?
Absolutely. We're actually doing one this weekend and we're super excited. We've had to reschedule it 3 times. So we're really, really excited to go hang out with this couple. And it is one thing that we can do in a sea of uncertainty to really remind you of, how special your wedding is going to be whenever it is going to be. Being able to have great photos to share with family and friends. And it's just one step in the process of, even if you don't have a date yet, that's something else that you can be doing. If you know which photographers you want to work with, we can do your engagement shoot now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be, counting down the days till your wedding. Even if it's 2 years down the road, sometimes you just want to get that ball rolling, and an engagement shoot is a great way to be able to do that and be socially distancing at the same time.
Yeah. And they can also use that for their, save the date or something when they have the date.
Totally. And we're trying to actually incorporate some photos that, kind of are commemorative of this wild time in our history. There are a lot of couples out there that are getting very creative, just people in general with masks. I have show and tell. One of my dear friends out in Hawaii is a clothing designer, and she started making custom masks and surprised James and I and made us custom branded face masks that are shaped like a camera, which are pretty fun. So we've got the lens and the flash and even a little viewfinder. It's just so clever and creative. So we're ready. We're ready to go out and shoot and be able to follow, all the guidelines to be able to keep people safe. And now it's just trying to navigate how to photograph without fogging up the viewfinder, because when you wear the mask and you're breathing, it's tricky.
Yeah, cute mask.
Oh, thanks.
So what other things would you like to tell brides that they could be doing now? Questions they should be asking? What other things should they be doing? And maybe before they come talk to you. And we can open this up to all of y'all too. Come on, Guillermo.
Well, I think that I think Megan mentioned that a little bit, which is the best thing, which is I think that these weddings are going to be a lot more symbolic and a lot more meaningful because of this thing that we're going through. Not only is it going to be, we finally did it, but we did it in a time of crisis and we overcame it. And here are all our friends with us and our family, and everybody's safe and healthy. And here we are doing it. So it's going to be much, much more significant than the wedding from last year, where we just, we'll get married this year. Everybody shows up, you get married, and you go. This year is something that is special. It's a story to tell. It's a memory that they're going to make that is different than everything that's happened to any bride before. I mean, it's since the 1800s, So who else can say they get married during the pandemic and everything went well? Yeah. But it is up to the vendors really to behave in such form where they make that even better for them, much better experience. There's nothing more frustrating than a vendor that, let me think about it. I don't know if we can do that. Let me see if I charge you more. Nah, you want somebody that goes, you bet, let's do it. You want to get married this afternoon? Let me look at, let's go. Something that brides have those memories, they're sitting down 5 years from now, and they go, remember that photographer, what he did for us? Remember how Brian stayed and cut the cake? And remember how these girls from Shutter Forge, they were all excited and they had their cool masks and they brought us some, and all of that stuff makes a huge difference. And it's also going to make a huge difference for our business in the future, because those good deeds turn into referrals. And as we all know, that word of mouth is 80% of what we do. The other 20 is what we do. But the bride saying, this is the guy you need to go with, it's invaluable. So let's take advantage of it for ourselves as well.
Yeah. So that's a really good point, that instead of being depressed about why is this happening? Why did this happen now to my day, to my time, to my celebration? You're putting a whole different spin on it and making it like, this is significant and this was different than everything else.
I shot the first COVID-19 wedding in Albuquerque at I was at Ladera Golf Course. The groom was literally 30 seconds from walking out to get married to this girl that put so much effort into it. Oh my God, she had the centerpieces that she made, and she was dressed in this black dress. It was just amazing, all this stuff. Literally 30 seconds before he walked out, the manager of the golf course came and said, "That's it. You got to shut it down right now. The mayor just called. You're done." Wow. The bride is screaming, and and all of a sudden, everything, I went and told her, "Hey, you know what? Let's do it outside. Everything is gonna be fine. There's no reason for you to, it is what it is, especially right now." And anyway, so they get married outside at Ladera, and I took this photo where this was a pretty loose crowd. They were pretty happy. And I told everybody, "Okay, everybody, flip off COVID-19." And I have this picture of all of their guests flipping off the COVID-19. It was the first one that we did, and it was just great. And then we went off to their sister's house, and we did the reception there, and everything turned out just fine. And this wasn't the first date where nobody knew. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, what? We have to leave? So make it work. Make it work. It's gonna be great.
So Brian, do you think brides should be disappointed or worry about this whole thing too?
No, yeah, I agree with Guillermo. Use this to a positive aspect. Go ahead and reach out to us. I'm using this time to reach out to my couples, but also to other vendors. So that's why I love doing these video chats, so we can go ahead and stay connected. I want to kind of learn, different florists, photographers, like how do you run your business? How do you communicate with couples? See, pick their brain and their aspect. And, I always have referrals of every, different cater, vendor, photographer. I'll give out information. So I will make it as easy as possible for you. But yeah, take advantage of this time. You're social distancing at home. If you have free time, go on Pinterest, go on our websites, email us. We are here for you. So definitely, and I'm the same way. I'm social distancing. I'm in my office. As you can tell, no one's here. So I'll sketch out some drawings for you. I'll go ahead and do some prices if needed. So yeah, I've done it. I've done it where I was talking to them and designing something. I'm like, how do you think of this? And show them pictures. So yeah, that's why I had to install my big screen with the better pictures. So yeah.
That's great. Okay, Megan, what about you?
So I 100% agree with Guillermo saying that these weddings are going to be even more special and more meaningful, because if anything else, everyone's been missing our friends and our family. So when you do actually get to be surrounded by them, I mean, everyone's going to lose their minds. They're going to be so happy. So I think that by taking that idea while you're planning and really taking a look at what your priorities are, making a list in order of the things that where you want to put your budget. There's tons of like budget suggestion websites all over the place, and they'll tell you, oh, you should do this percentage of the total of your budget and spend it on this or whatever. You know what? There are no more rules. So what you need to do is, sit down with your fiance and go through the things that are really going to be meaningful to you in planning your perfect wedding. Is the photography absolutely important to you? Do you want to have a videographer? Do you want to have the most epic cake that's ever been made? These are the things that you want to know, so that when you do start reaching out to vendors, you can say, okay, yeah, the flowers aren't necessarily a huge priority for me. I'm going to use less of my budget for this, but I still want them to be beautiful. So let's interview some florists that are be able to work within that. Or hey, I didn't realize how much having the craziest dance party of all time would mean to me. But, I really do. I want all the lights. I want all the everything. Like, that will kind of shift your priorities around. And I think that by having those conversations, a lot of couples, they kind of get their little wedding planner binder and they're like, okay, well, this is what I should be spending and this is who I should hire first. And, it's a good guideline, but I think that in this time, it's all about shifting priorities and figuring out, hey, maybe you don't need a 350 person wedding. Maybe the most important thing to you is that your parents are there and they're older, and you're a little worried that having lots of guests might put them at risk for their health, or something like that. Maybe you decide to have a smaller elopement situation. Really trying to assess what's going to be the most meaningful wedding for you will really help you plan, the best wedding you could possibly have, and the one that's the most customized to you.
That's great. I see Sydney joined us.
She did. And as soon as she came up, she got a little bit of a static electricity shock. So I thought she was going to take off again, but she decided to join us.
She likes being with us. What can I say?
I know. She's so shy normally, but apparently this virtual interaction, she's all about it.
She loves it. She loves us. Okay. Anybody else have anything else you'd like to say to brides and who are still planning right now? Nobody? Well, then, go ahead, Guillermo.
It's going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's going to be just fine.
Great thing. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Believe me, my daughter's getting married. I tell her that every day. It's going to be okay.
Great.
It'll be all right. You know, I'm not going to be your photographer, so I don't know if your photos are going to be great, but everything else is going to be great.
Good. Good. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I'm Stacy with the Wedding Expos, and next week we're going to talk about what weddings will look like during this time, how you're going to shoot with masks, and how you're going to make a cake that has to be delivered, and just all the new logistics that we're trying to get our arms around and to figure out. So,
hey, Stacy. I think we should also talk about how your bridal show is going to look like in August.
Yeah, well, we're trying to make plans for how the bridal show is going to be and what it's going to look like, and
brainstorm about that.
Keep everybody safe so they can still meet people, and you're not just meeting them on Zoom. So we're looking forward to that too. Yeah. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Right. Bye.
Have a great weekend.